Welcome back to the channel. I want to talk today about the futility of life and overcoming the futility of life. This is going to be more of a philosophical conversation between myself and you, using the book of Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament scriptures as a reference point. Ecclesiastes is all about having a reverence for God in the midst of a fallen and sinful world, teaching you how to not trust in anything that the world trusts in, but to trust in God as the ultimate source of receiving meaning in life. It's believed that Ecclesiastes was written by King Solomon, one of the sons of David. Some dispute that based on some internal evidence, but certainly Solomon seems to be in the right time period in 10th century BC, having all-surpassing wisdom as a gift from God, riches as a gift from God, a kingdom that was in peace as a gift from God. So let's talk about what are the central themes really, and how do they apply to the meaning of life. Ecclesiastes is written from the perspective of a preacher, a king in Jerusalem. And there's a phrase that's repeated often in the book. In my translation, it says, "Vanity of vanities," says the preacher. Vanity of vanities. It has to do with the idea of literally vapor. You could say vapor of vapors, all is vapor. It occurs frequently in the book. As the book progresses, the meaning becomes clearer that it's talking about the futility of life, and the futility of a life ultimately apart from the fear of God, using the old-fashioned word fear to talk about reverence. But it also includes a bit of holy terror because God is in heaven and we are on earth, and he needs to be feared. In other words, he needs to be understood as someone we're going to be accountable to. In the same way, a loving son might fear his father because of the discipline that he might incur if he does the wrong thing. We should have a healthy fear of God, which is a reverence for God, knowing that he will hold us accountable one day when we stand before his judgment throne for the things done in our body. So the preacher sets the table with the phrase "vanity of vanities" to let you know that the book's going to be about the futility of life. That is, as it progresses, you'll see that it's about the futility of chasing after different things other than God to try and get meaning in life and fulfillment in life. Oh, we need that message now more than any other time in history. He'll talk about the accumulation of possessions because he had great wealth, building gardens and homes, and it didn't bring him meaning and fulfillment. He'll talk about the heaping up of wealth and how that didn't bring him meaning. He'll talk about taking many wives, sexual pleasure, how that didn't ultimately bring him meaning. And along the way, he'll share with us the different evils that he calls them that he saw in the world. Here's an example. There's an evil that I've seen under the sun. This is chapter 6. A man to whom God gives wealth and possessions and honor so that he lacks none of what he desires, yet God doesn't give him the power to enjoy them. Instead, a stranger enjoys them. That's a vanity. It's a grievous evil. In other words, you've just gotten all that you wanted, and then you die, and others more foolish than you who didn't work for it take all of that and use it and squander it. I think of people that retire, and then soon after retirement, they've built their whole life toward this moment where they're going to enjoy life and travel, and because of either debilitating health that strikes them, like cancer, or just death, or the death of a spouse who they dearly love, they wanted to share the world with, now they're shattered, and they don't have the things that they thought they would, and now their life becomes darkened and with less meaning. Well, if we have our faith and trust in God, that shields us from that great disappointment that we can have that can so rock our world. It doesn't mean that we don't still have trials and we don't still have disappointments. It just means when you fear God, you have your hope based on something other than yourself and your circumstances to draw meaning and fulfillment from. And that can sustain you. Well, he continues building and building in arguments until the very end of the book, in chapter 12, where he says, the end of the matter, all has been heard. Here's the conclusion. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. So after moving through all these different issues of fortune and fame and popularity and pleasures and wealth and possessions and leisure, he found the end of the matter was nothing was more fulfilling and meaningful than fearing God and obeying him. Not only because there's going to be an accountability coming, but also because what you find, I think Augustine said this, there's a God-shaped void in each of our hearts, and only as we fill it with God can we truly be fulfilled. So I would just encourage you today to maybe pick up a Bible and read the book of Ecclesiastes and see what you think. See if it draws you toward a heart of wisdom to reflect on your life and think about whether or not you're serving the right things or serving the wrong things. Because you get shaken, you'll see what you're really made of. And if you don't have hope like an anchor in your soul to tether you to something more significant than yourself, it'll be very disappointing for you. All right? That's all for today. Y'all take care.